Welcome to HAzmat Theory Part 2, Loading and Unloading. There's something you should really think of and be aware of when starting to load and unload your load, and that is do all you can to protect containers of hazardous materials. Don't use any tools which might damage containers or other packaging during loading. Do not use hooks. And I'm not sure if you've seen any questions in the apps that you all are studying for your hazmat test, or if you've come across this statement in various study material, but you run a high risk of seeing this question on the test at the MBA. Again, do not use hooks when loading or unloading hazardous materials. Okay. Loading requirements. Both loading or unloading, set the parking brake. Make sure the vehicle will not move. Many products become more hazardous when exposed to heat. Load hazardous materials away from heat sources. Watch for signs of leaking or damaged containers. Leaks spell trouble. Do not transport leaking packages. Depending on the material, you, your truck, and others could be in danger. It is illegal to move vehicles with leaking hazardous materials. Not only is it illegal, it is also or can be extremely costly. When loads leak on the ground, it's considered to be a contaminated area, and they call out the government to clean it up. Those bills, when they finish cleaning a contaminated area, is extremely expensive. And there's the difference in how far you travel. So you could stop as soon as you notice it. It could cost thousands of dollars, or you can keep rolling until you get to where you need to be. It could cost tens of thousands of dollars. So be very careful and aware of that. Containers of hazardous materials must be braced to prevent movement of packages during transportation. Brace containers so they will not fall, slide, or bounce around during transportation. Be very careful when loading containers that have valves or other fittings. All hazardous material packages must be secured during transportation. After loading, do not open any package during your trip. Never transfer hazardous materials from one package to another while in transit. You may empty a cargo tank, but do not empty any other package while it is on the vehicle. No smoking. Again, no smoking. When loading or unloading hazardous materials, keep fire away. Don't let people smoke nearby. Never, as the operator, never smoke around Class 1 explosives, Class 2.1 flammable gas, Class 3 flammable liquids, Class 4 flammable solids, or Class 5 oxidizers. Cargo heater rules. There are special cargo heater rules for loading. Class 1 explosives, Class 2.1 flammable gas, or Class 3 flammable liquids. The rules usually forbid use of cargo heaters, including automatic cargo heater or air conditioner units, unless you have read all the related rules. Don't load the information listed in a cargo space that has a heater. You cannot have overhang or tailgate loads of Class 1 explosives, Class 4 flammable solids, or Class 5 oxidizers. You must load these hazardous materials into a closed cargo space unless all packages are fire and water resistant, covered with fire and water resistant tarps. Class 1 explosive materials. Turn your engine off before loading or unloading any explosives. Then check the cargo space. Disable cargo heaters, disconnect heater power sources, and drain heater fuel tanks. Those things would be done before loading. Make sure there are no sharp points that might damage cargo. Look for bolts, screws, nails, broken side panels, and broken floorboards. Use a floor lining with division 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3. So that's usually like a very thick rubber floor liner in most cases. The floors must be tight and the liner must be either non-metallic material or non-ferrous metal. Non-ferrous metals are any metal that does not contain iron or iron alloys. Use extra care to protect explosives. Never use hooks. There it is again. Never use hooks or other metal tools. Never drop, throw, or roll packages. Protect explosive packages from the other cargo that might cause damage. Do not transfer Division 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3 from one vehicle to another on a public roadway except in an emergency. If safety requires an emergency transfer, set out red warning reflectors, flags, or electric lanterns. What is the one um, emergency equipment that they did not mention there? Hmm. That would be flares. Do not use flares. Do not put the flares out. Why? Because of course they can easily catch fire, right? So no flares. You must warn others on the road. Never transport damaged packages of explosives. Do not take a package that shows any dampness or oily stain. Do not transport Division 1.1 or 1.2 in the vehicle combinations if there is a marked placarded cargo tank in the combination. The other vehicle in the combination contains Division 1.1 inhalation, initiating explosives. Packages of Class 7 radioactive materials labeled yellow 3, Division 2.3 poisonous gas, or Division 6.1 poisonous materials, hazardous materials in a portable tank, or a DOT spec 106A or 110A. Again, keep in mind that the list I just gave you is what you cannot combine with the Division 1.1 or 1.2 in the same load. Class 4 flammable solids and Class 5 oxidizers. Class 4 materials are solids that react, including fire and explosion, to water, heat, and air, or even react spontaneously. Class 4 and 5 materials must be completely enclosed in a vehicle or covered securely. Class 4 and 5 materials, which become unstable and dangerous when wet, must be kept dry while in transit and during loading and unloading. Materials that are subject to spontaneous combustion or heating must be in a vehicle with sufficient ventilation. Class 8, corrosive materials. If loading by hand, load breakable containers of corrosive liquids one by one. Keep them right side up. Do not drop or roll the containers. Load them onto an even floor surface. Stack carboys over, stack carboys only if the lower tiers can bear the weight of the upper tiers safely. Okay. Never load corrosive liquids next to or above Division 1.4, Explosive C, Division 4.1, Flammable Solids, Division 4.3, Dangerous when wet, Class 5, Oxidizers, Division 2.3, Zone B, and poisonous gases. Never load corrosive liquids with Division 1.1 or 1.2, Division 1.2 or 1.3, Division 1.5, blasting agents, Divisions 2.3, Zone A, poisonous gases, Division 4.2, spontaneously combustible materials, Division 6.1, PG1, Zone A, poison liquids. Class 2, compressed gases, including cryogenic liquids. If your vehicle doesn't have racks to hold cylinders, the cargo space floor must be flat. And the reason why they stress this is because a lot of times in trailers, there's been damaged floors. They've been wet from different materials that may have spilled, maybe rain exposure, weather conditions, weathering. So they may be a little warped because oftentimes trailer floors have wood on them. So if they are warped, then you can't haul certain things. And that is why it's very important to be aware of what you're going to be hauling before you commit to the load so that you don't drive somewhere 100 miles away and can't pull the load because of something like this. Your floor is not flat enough. So keep that in mind. The cylinders must be held upright in racks attached to the vehicle or in boxes that will keep them from turning over. Cylinders may be loaded in a horizontal position, lying down, if it is designed so the relief valve is in the vapor space. Division 2.3, poisonous gas, or Division 6.1, poisonous materials. Never load a package labeled poison or poison inhalation hazard in the driver's cab or sleeper, or with food material or for human or animal consumption. There are special rules for loading and unloading Class 2 materials in cargo tanks. You must have special training to do this. And that is, again, when you have to be aware of what you're hauling because, again, you don't want to arrive to pick up a load of poison inhalation hazard material and you can't haul it because you haven't had the proper training. Class 7, radioactive materials. Some packages of Class 7 radioactive materials bear a number called the transport index. The shipper labels these packages radioactive 2 or radioactive 3. Again, they'll be Roman numerals and prints the package's transport index on the label. Radiation surrounds each package, passing through all nearby packages. To deal with this problem, the number of packages you can load together is controlled. Their closeness to people, animals, and unexposed film is also controlled. The transport index tells the degree of control needed during transportation. The total transport index of all packages in a single vehicle must not exceed 50. Again, that's 50. Okay, so here we have a table of the loads. So it's mixed loads. The rules require some products to be loaded separately. You cannot load them together in the same cargo space. Okay. And of course, radioactive will fall on that list, but there are some other ones as well, such as Division 6.1 or 2.3, poison or poison inhalation hazard. Um, so it cannot be in the same vehicle with animal or human foods unless the poison package is overpacked in an approved way. Foodstuff are anything you swallow. However, mouthwash, toothpaste, and skin creams are not foodstuff. And just to think about it, I would never have thought that toothpaste, I didn't think much about mouthwash, but I kind of felt like toothpaste would fall on the foodstuff list. So, okay. And then Division 2.3, poisonous gas zone A, or Division 6.1, poison liquids, PG1, zone A. So that the things that cannot be loaded in the same vehicle would be Division 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, explosives. Division 5.1, oxidizers, class 3, flammable liquids, class 8, corrosive liquids, division 5.2, organic peroxides, division 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, explosives, division 1.5, blasting agents, division 2.1, flammable gases, and class 4, flammable solids. Now, for charged storage batteries, just simply division 1.1. Class 1, detonating primers, any other explosives, unless in authorized containers or packages, aren't allowed to ride. So that's general and that's a lot, right? Division 6.1, cyanides, excuse me, I always mess up my name. Cyanides or cyanide mixtures. So I've never actually hauled a cyanide mixture. Um, I do have a close relationship with someone that does from time to time, and they are very they're stressed a lot on what can be with that load, and basically you end up not hauling much of anything with that load. What says here that you cannot haul with it is acids, corrosive materials, or other acid materials which could release hydrocyanic acid. For example, cyanide, inorganic NOS, silver cyanide, or sodium cyanide. Oops. And then finally, nitric acid, class 8, other materials unless the nitric acid is not labeled above any other material. Okay. We finally made it to the questions for this section, so please answer the questions below and send your responses via email. Bulk packaging, marking, loading, and unloading. Cargo tanks are bulk packaging permanently attached to a vehicle. Cargo tanks remain on the vehicle when you load and unload them. Portable tanks are bulk packaging which are not permanently attached to a vehicle. The product is loaded or unloaded with the portable tanks are off the vehicle. Portable tanks are then put on a vehicle for transportation. There are many types of cargo tanks in use. The most common cargo tanks are MC306 for liquids and MC331 for gases. Markings. You must display the identification number of the hazardous materials in portable tanks and cargo tanks and other bulk packaging. The rules require black 100mm numbers on orange panels, placards, or white diamond-shaped black background. If no placards are required, specification cargo tanks must show retest date markings. Portable tanks must also show the lessee or owner's name. They must also display shipping name of the contents or on two opposing sides. The letters of the shipping name must be at least 2 inches tall on portable tanks with capabilities of more than 1,000 gallons, and 1 inch tall on portable tanks with capabilities of less than 1,000 gallons. The identification number must appear on each side and each end of the portable tanks on, on other bulk packaging that holds 1,000 gallons or more and on two opposing sides. If the portable tank holds less than 1,000 gallons, the identification numbers must still be visible when the portable tank is on the motor vehicle. If they are not visible, you must display the identification number on both sides and ends of the motor vehicle. And I'm going to take this moment to just remind you again of that 1,000 pound or 1,000 gallon mark. So here they mentioned 1,000 gallon mark, but if you recall in part one, they also mentioned the 1,000 pound mark. So and then let me make this a little bit larger so we can look at it real quick. Okay, so if you recall again, with with the 1,000 pounds or more, I want to reiterate it because it does often come up on the test, not the actual products, but the 1,000 pound rule. So you of course we know that you may use a dangerous placard instead of separate placards for anything that's in these if any combination that is in this group here. Okay. And of course, when you have the 1,000 pounds or more of two different products here, if it's more than 1,000 pounds, you would need placards. Okay. So you may haul up to 2,205 pounds with these products. With the gallons, there is no cutoff. Was cut off based on the capacity of the tank itself, but no cutoffs on the amount of the load. If the worst inhalation hazards are on shipping papers or package, you must display poison gas or poison inhalation placards in addition to any other placards needed by the product's hazard class. The 1,000 pound exception does not apply to these materials. So, and that goes for the the pounds or gallons. If it's inhalation hazard or poison gas, you would placard no matter what. Okay. Materials with secondary hazards or dangerous when wet must display the dangerous when wet placard in addition to any other placards needed by the product's hazard class. The 1,000 pound exception to placarding does not apply to these materials. Okay. So again, I just wanted to mention it again because I don't really believe that it comes up anymore. But the 1,001 pound and then 1,000 gallons is the cutoff for the combination. Okay. Tank loading. The person, I did want to mention one more thing, and that is intermediate bulk containers, and that's the IBCs, are bulk packagings, but are not required to have owner's name or shipping name. So when we were speaking about the markings, it doesn't the information is not the same for IBCs, which is again intermediate bulk containers. Tank loading. The person in charge of loading and unloading a cargo tank must be sure a qualified person is always watching. This person watching the loading and or unloading must be alert. So no sleep in the back sleeper while the loading is happening. Have a clear view of the cargo tank. Be within 25 feet of the tank. Know of the hazards of the materials involved. Know the procedures to follow in an emergency and be authorized to move the cargo tank and able to do so. These are special attendance rules for cargo tanks transporting propane and anhydrous ammonia. Close all manholes and valves before moving a tank of hazardous materials, no matter how small the amount of the tank or how short the distance. Manholes and valves must be closed to prevent valves to prevent leaks. It is illegal to move a cargo tank with open valves or cover unless it is empty, according to the 49 CFR 173.29. Flammable liquids. Turn off your engine before loading or unloading any flammable liquids. Only run the engine if needed to operate a pump. Ground a cargo tank correctly before filling it through an open filling hole. Ground the tank before opening the filling hole and maintain the ground until after the closing the filling hole. Compressed gas. Keep liquid discharge valves on a compressed gas tank closed except when loading and unloading, unless your engine runs a pump for the product transfer. Turn it off when loading or unloading. If you use the engine, turn it off after product transfer before you unhook the hose. Please view video number 3 below. Here's the video and the link for the video, and the video information will also be sent to your email. Please answer the questions below and send your responses via email. This concludes part 2.